I've been in your waters.
What's up guys, it's me Eric B and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be installing the Termignoni exhaust on the 2025 Panigale V2. Super excited about this. Of course that stock exhaust has to go. We're here at Nashville Motos in Nashville, Tennessee. I typically do my own installs on most of the parts I do on my bike, but I figured I'd let the pros do it this time. So let's go inside, lay everything out, see what we're working with, and get this bad boy installed.
Home run, touchdown, buzzer beater, do it all now, top corner talking home run, touchdown, buzzer beater, do it all now, ball now, top corner like.
All right, we are now in the shop. We got everything laid out. Here it is. As you can see, we got Daniel here. He's gonna be doing most of the install. He's laying all the parts out and everything for us. So we got all that. Here's the piping. It's really good. Got the mufflers right here. Heat shield and everything. And then we also have the, the piece that goes on the bottom here, the fairing. Because once we get that cat out of the way, there's like a little black piece that goes underneath there. So that's gonna clean it up quite nicely. But yeah, this is everything that you will get with this exhaust. And this is directly from Ducati. So this is a Ducati performance part. I don't think there's any other exhaust out for this bike right now. But the cool thing is with this bike, with this exhaust, you do get a tune directly from Ducati, and what it's going to do is it's going to increase the horsepower by about roughly 5 horsepower and the torque by 5 pound-feet of torque. And it's supposed to drop the weight somewhere close to 10 pounds, but we'll see. We'll weigh everything, let you guys know what we're working with that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, real quick, I wanted to show you guys. So these are, you get baffles that would go in there to quiet it down a little bit, but we don't want those. And as you can see, you got one side that hooks up to the engine here. I think that's on the back side. As we get more into it, we'll definitely be able to see it. But what we're gonna have to do first, obviously, is go ahead and get the fairings off. We're gonna have to tear this whole thing down. So we're gonna get the fairings off, possibly the tail section, the tank. I don't know if the rear shock's gonna be in the way or not, but yeah, we're definitely gonna have to dig into it in order to get this bad boy off. And then also I'm gonna remove the rear pegs here because we don't need those anyway. I'm gonna be installing a rear cowl, so no passengers for me. And then Daniel's checking on the installation instructions. Actually, really, it's there are some pictures and some instructions on like how to remove some of it, but there's nothing on installation of this exhaust yet because it's so new. And also, if you guys are tracking, the VIN number was so new when I was trying to get insurance on this thing that it's not even showing up anywhere. So they're trying to classify it as the old 955cc V2, and yeah, it's kind of weird. So hopefully, you know, if you guys are getting this bike by that time, maybe the insurance will be squared away, but yeah, that was just kind of weird. All right, Dan the man right here, what we got going on first?
So we're taking the silencers off. We got to take a few heat shielding pieces off to make sure we can get it off the bread box.
All right.
And then starts the rest of it.
All right, it's gonna be a long day. All right, so we just got the rear silencer off. It looked like it was pretty simple to take off. It was just, what, a couple clamps and everything?
A clamp right here, and these 2 bolts right here and here.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, 2 bolts right up in there, and then clamp right there, and then there's one on the other side here. Where did it come off of?
Here.
Okay. And then where did the other side connect to, or is it just one side? Just one side, okay. Yep, so like I said, those 2 right there that hold it up, and then connects right up to the catalytic converter right here. So we got it off. And then like I said, we're gonna weigh everything and see how much it weighs. I'll pick it up real quick, see how heavy it is. The stock one's actually not too bad, but yeah. All right, updates. So we got both fairings off, and there is a lot of screws to take that bottom part of the fairing off right here. So as you can see, that part goes up to the bottom of the engine right there. O2 sensor. There's your oil filter right there. And then we still got a lot to remove and everything here. So now we are removing the tail section and then also the tank and everything, because it's hard to get to a lot of this stuff. As you guys can see how this is all routed and everything coming through here. Got oil sight glass. But yeah, little by little, chipping along. Oh, and if you guys are wondering, the battery on this bike is right there up top by the gas tank, just like the V4. I remember on my 1199 it was down on the side there, and then my Aprilia was underneath the seat. But yeah, I like the location of that because it's really easy to get to. You can just pop that off and get to it quite easily. All right, so there is a plastic piece that goes in there near the front fairing, right down in here. So this needs to come out as well in order to take that off. And there's, what do you think? Is there quite a bit of screws you gotta take out with that?
One right here, the other one's right here, and then there's a one right here, and then there's two like push pins.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so yeah, those push pins he was talking about right there, and then some screws. All right, also while we're at it, I got a radiator guard from Evotech Performance. So we're gonna install that as well. Pretty simple, not bad. These are the parts you get with it. A little bracket that goes up top there with the two bolts, and then some rubber grommets that goes on the back side, so it doesn't hit on the radiator itself. And then it'll go right up in there. That one bolt right there, there's two places right there to put it in there. So we'll put that on there, and then we'll have our radiator protected. All right, so we got the front fairing off. Was that too difficult to take off?
No, not really. It was just a bolt right here, and then two bolts underneath on both sides, and one more that holds your headlight in.
Okay. And then why do we have to take the front off?
Well, according to the instructions. I'm just following the instructions right now.
Gotcha.
Gotta take it off, take these fairings off, and maybe the headlight. I'm not exactly sure why, but I guess we'll get there.
All right. Yeah, as you guys can see, you basically have to tear this entire thing apart just to do the exhaust, which is insane. All right, so a little update, here's where we stand. Like I said before, you pretty much have to tear the entire bike apart in order to get to everything. So these are the upper side fairings here, and as you can see, underneath it, it has these ducts that run on the side through it. So it'll come in through the front right there, and then come out like up top right here. And I think that's to better keep you cool, just from all the, Ducatis run hot and stuff. So I think it's their way of keeping you a little bit cooler so you're not roasting sitting on the bike and everything. But so far, let's mosey on over here, see what we got. So we got the tail section off and everything. You see where your ABS stuff sits right there underneath the seat. And then what else here? I wanted to show you guys this. So right on the side here, here's your coolant reservoir. Sits on the side, so it kind of reminds me of my MV Agusta, where it sat right up on the top underneath the tank. So not real easy to get to, but there it is. And don't know if that's like a, what do you call that? What do you call this on the side? Like an evap canister or something like that? Yeah, that's what that is right there. And then you can get to your radiator fill cap here on the top. So like if you plan to do a radiator flush or anything like that, those fairings are kind of a pain in the butt to take off. But there you have it. And the whole front end here, kind of see up under there. And everything. And there's your ECU on the other side. So, not bad. And then next we're gonna get to the tank. and then show you that. All right, now we're about to take the tank off. And real quick, before you pop it up, where did you have to remove the screws at on here?
On this plate, there's 2 screws here and 2 screws here. Okay. And then there's a cover underneath right here.
Okay.
2 screws at the front, and then it just kind of pulls off. And then you got your fuel line connection, your fuel pump connection.
It's all underneath there. Okay.
Your ground strap right here.
All right.
And then you have a bolt right here and a bolt right here on this side. And then these 2 charcoal canister and overflow connections.
Right underneath there. Okay. Sweet. That should be it. All right. So yeah, so that cover he was talking about on the bottoms, that's it right there. And that covers your fuel line connection and everything underneath there. All right, and you guys will also have to remove these little bushings right here. It has to come out on the side, so they go right in there. And it shouldn't be too heavy if you don't have a lot of fuel in it. Yep, so there's a connector right under the tank, just so you guys know. Boom, to remove that. All right, so now we're gonna remove this, this top plastic piece right here that goes over the ignition. And then that might help get the tank off a little bit better. Try it now. Yep, there we have it. All right guys, so like I said, connection underneath the tank right up under there, and then you have the connection on the bottom along with the fuel line, and then all your hardware, and then don't forget to take this plastic piece off up front to help you take that off a little bit easier. But yeah, this is everything. You got the battery that sits right up here, so all your connections and everything, and then you can get to the spark plug and the back part of the exhaust. All right, another note. So air filter sits right up underneath there. You can kind of see the orange and the white under there. But yeah, you got to remove. So this is almost my MV Agusta nightmare, where I had to remove the intake runner, the front fairing and everything in order to get to it. This is starting to look almost the same way. But yeah, you'd have to remove all of this in order to get to it, because you really don't get to it up top. Because like I kind of remember my 1199, where you take the tank off and boom, it was right there. This doesn't seem to be the case. I guess you could come up top right here and remove all this stuff if you wanted to, but I don't know. I don't know what's the easiest and best way to go. All right, Daniel, what we got going on now?
All right, so we got our rear shock removed. Now we're getting to this heat shield so we can start taking off the rest of the exhaust. But this shock was just blocking that bolt right there. So we couldn't get in there to get it out, but.
Of course, I gotta make it hard. Gotta make it hard. All right, so we got the hardware removed there. He's removing that cover. Boom. So that has to come out in order to get to the back of the header there. O2 sensor. All right, so everything is getting torn apart. The entire bike is torn apart. And right now, Dan is working on getting that clamp off right there. And then we're gonna move up through here, if I can get a good angle here, get that header pipe off, and then drop the cat down, and then go from there. So you got the screws, hold on the cat right there. And like I said, that's where that clamp just went, right there, they just took off. And then this pipe right here is going to stay. So from here up to the engine, that will remain there. I don't know why, I guess they didn't make a pipe for that, but the rest of the exhaust will start from there back. And then we do get part of the piping that connects to the engine back here in the back.
There's one more bracket holding on the header right here, or the cap. And you can't get to it
there. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, you can't get to it without taking off this chain slider.
So the chain slider has to come off in order to get to that bolt, because you can't really see it or get to it. All right, we're dropping There we go. Just getting it off right there, pulling it out. Yeah, it should. Looks like it's catching on something here. Oh, he's got it also undone up there. So it's trying to pull it off as one whole piece. I don't know. You may have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the front header loose as well.
Okay, so he's saying he's gonna have to loosen up the front header a little bit so that will come out because it's not coming all the way out. Bring it down through there. Boom, and she is out. There we have it. And now we are going to weigh that along with the muffler and see what we're looking like. So let's check it out. All right, so now we're going to weigh the stock exhaust here. So I'm going to put the stock muffler on here, this little scale we got. All right, and it's not completely exact, but it's off probably by a pound. But go ahead and put that on there. Try to get it as best as we can. So we're sitting probably roughly a little over 7 pounds for the stock muffler. And then let's go ahead and throw the catalytic converter on there along with the rear header pipe. All right, and we are sitting at, ooh, 14 pounds. So give or take a pound or so, about 14, 15 pounds for the stock header on the new Panigale V2 here. So with that said, both of these together, the muffler and the catalytic converter, we're probably looking at about 22 pounds. All right, and now we're gonna weigh the Termignoni piping. So I'm trying to get it on here the best I can where all the weight is right in the middle here. It's not easy at all. Maybe if I do it like this. Oh man, get it close as we can without it moving. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling. Okay, I think I got it. All right, so the piping alone is right at 5 pounds. All right, and now we're gonna weigh the Termi mufflers here. Boom, and we're sitting right at about 5 pounds. So 10 pounds total for the full exhaust compared to the 22 pounds of the stock exhaust. I'd say that's not too bad. All right, so now getting the piping worked out and everything, how it's supposed to be. Trying to get all the hardware and everything sorted. And we'll start getting her back together. All right, so here's the heat shield that goes over the mufflers, and then as you can see, you got the piping that runs out the back to the mufflers, connects there. Then that piece will connect to that header piece to the back of the engine, and then that'll route down to the front header pipe. And then this is the little fairing that you get for the exhaust that goes on that other side that I was talking about, where the cat used to be, to kind of cover that piping up. All right, so we're getting that header pipe installed right there. Gonna get it torqued up to about 10 Newton meters on those bolts, and then we'll start routing the rest of the piping. All right, so the next thing is getting that heat shield right on top of the header pipe there. So I'm gonna put that on next and then get it all bolted up. All right, so in order to get this heat shield on there, we're gonna have to remove this bracket right here because there's a bolt behind it that bolts up to that. And might have to also remove the rear set to get to a bolt. Not real sure yet, but let me grab this so you can see. Yeah, that piece right there is gonna bolt to the engine, and then that bracket is gonna go over top of that, just for awareness. All right, so now we're trying to route the piping up here, as you can see. Looks a lot better than the stock piping, especially with the welds and stuff like that. Getting that connected to that front header pipe right there. Get the clamp on it, just so you can see. And like I said, that's what that back shroud or fairing is gonna cover, is this back piece right here. and then that piece will come out to the mufflers. All right, so you guys can kind of see where that's routed and everything through here. All right, I'll show you the back side there, how the piping is routed. And then got to put all those springs together right there and one behind there, as you can see. All right, and now we're retightening the bolts to the header pipe up front here. Same torque, 10 Newton meters. Right now that we got the springs and everything on, we also had to get on this little piece back here that holds like the wires and stuff out of the way. And now he's putting on the clamp there. And then I think we'll start routing the rear piping. All right, so we got the heat shield and everything for the piping. I think he's just testing it to make sure it lines up. Look at that, I even got a little notch for it to line up with. That's pretty cool. Like I said, heat shield goes right on it just like so. I think that'd be nice if they come out with a carbon one. Put that on there, that'd be a nice touch. All right, we are now going to mount the muffler in the rear pipe onto that piece back there. I'm gonna go on the other side here. It's gonna mount up right there, and then you'll have your springs that'll connect that. And it's all one piece. And then, just like the stock exhaust, the back part of it, right up in there, will bolt up to that connection right there. All right, so this piece right here will be mounted up right behind the rear set right here. So you may have to remove the rear set a little bit just to get it out, because you really don't need it anymore at that point. And then the black piece that I was talking about, that's gonna go right here, that's gonna connect up to the fairing and everything, which we'll show you here in a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. All right guys, now that we got the exhaust and everything mounted, we took some time real quick to install the Evotech radiator guard, and it was super simple. Like I said, you just gotta put those little grommets in there so it doesn't bounce off of the radiator or whatever. And then right up top here, I'll brighten it up for you. There's one little bracket with 2 bolts. Just bolt it right in up there up top, and she's good to go. It just sits right in between these plastic pieces right here, and that's it. That's simple. All right, tank is going back on first. Just remember guys, to do, if I can see it up under there, you gotta remember to do the connector under there, and then your fuel line, and then there is a connector underneath this. And then go ahead and start bolting everything back up the way you took it off. All right, now we're gonna start getting the fairings back on, put everything back on in reverse order. Yeah, once we get this bad boy put back together, we'll push her out and give you a cold start. All right guys, we are almost done. Daniel killed it, putting this thing, or taking this thing apart and then putting it back together. First time dealing with this bike at all, with installing an exhaust or taking it apart and all that stuff. So it's always a learning process, but not too bad. So we're gonna finish getting everything buttoned up and everything, and then we'll take her outside, do a cold start so you can get a sound check on it, see what it sounds like versus the stock. And yeah, I am super excited. Cannot wait to get this thing out on the road. right, guys, and that is it. We are done with the exhaust install on the Panigale V2. It is not possible without these guys. Definitely a huge shout out to Chandler, Foster, and Daniel for making this happen here at Nashville Motos in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you guys are looking to pick up a motorcycle in the Ducati or BMW realm, definitely come check these guys out. They will hook you up and make your dreams come true. So thank you.
Eric. You're the best. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. All right, so we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.